Victoria and I were the couple everyone envied. We met in college, two bright-eyed kids with dreams bigger than our tiny campus town. We built a life together, brick by brick. A small business that grew into a successful marketing firm, cozy house in the suburbs, and a decade of memories I thought were unbreakable. Victoria was my world. Her laughter was the soundtrack to my life. Her ambition fueled my own. I thought we were invincible, a team against the world. But I was wrong, so terribly wrong. The first sign was subtle. A late night at the office that didn't quite add up. A sudden obsession with her phone, which was now always password protected and face down. When I asked, she'd just smile that disarming smile and say, "Just work stuff, honey. Know how it is." I wanted to believe her. For 10 years I had no reason not to. So, I pushed the nagging voice in my head aside. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. After all, this was Victoria, my Victoria. But the little signs grew into massive red flags. The business trips on weekends, the expensive gifts she'd receive that weren't from me, the emotional distance that felt like a canyon between us and our own home. The final blow came on our 10th anniversary. I'd planned a surprise trip to the place we had our first date, a little lakeside cabin. I came home early, a bouquet of her favorite lilies in hand, only to find her car missing. A quick check of our shared location app, something we'd set up for safety years ago and she'd clearly forgotten about, showed her at a fancy downtown hotel. My heart hammered against my ribs. I drove there, my mind a blur of denial and dread. I got a room key for a vacant room on the same floor, just to get access, and there it was. Through a slightly ajar door down the hall, I heard her laughter, a sound I loved. But this time, it was intertwined with a man's deeper voice. I saw them toast with champagne. The man was Mark, a rival from a competing firm we'd been battling for a major contract. The betrayal was a physical blow. It wasn't just another man. It was a man who represented everything we had fought against professionally. It was a double betrayal, personal and professional. I didn't confront them. I walked away, the lilies crushed in my hand, my world shattered. That night I didn't go home. I sat in my car, replaying a decade of my life, seeing every moment through a new, painful lens. The grief was overwhelming, but underneath it, a cold, hard resolve began to form. She thought I was just the quiet, supportive husband, the reliable, predictable Sean. She thought I would break, that I would beg, that I would fall apart. She underestimated me. She had no idea who she had just awakened. My revenge wouldn't be loud or messy. It would be strategic, silent, and devastating. I was the co-founder of our company, the one who handled the back end, the finances, the client relationships. Victoria was the face, the charismatic presenter. She had no idea how deeply I was woven into the fabric of our success. The next morning, I walked into the office, put on a fake smile, and told her I had a migraine the night before and had crashed at a friend's place. She bought it, showering me with faux concern. Phase 1 was information. I spent the next few weeks meticulously documenting everything. Copied files, emails, and financial records that showed how Victoria had been using company funds for her lavish excursions with Mark. I discovered she'd also been leaking our confidential client strategies to him, giving his firm an unfair advantage. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was sabotaging the company we built together. My pain morphed into a cold, calculated anger. Phase 2 was isolation. I started reaching out to our key clients, our oldest and most loyal partners. I didn't badmouth Victoria. Instead, I presented them with new, innovative proposals, projects I'd been developing on my own. I reinforced my value, my stability, my vision for the future. I became their primary point of contact, subtly phasing Victoria out of the critical conversations. They saw me as the steady hand, the real engine of the company. Meanwhile, Victoria was living in a fool's paradise. She was so caught up in her affair and her perceived victory over Mark's company, which she thought was her own doing, that she didn't notice the ground shifting beneath her feet. She grew arrogant, dismissive in meetings, believing she was untouchable. She had no idea I was building a new ark while she was busy drilling holes in our ship. The final phase was the execution. We had a major board meeting scheduled, the one where we would discuss the company's future direction and review our recent performance. including the contract we'd lost to Mark's firm. This was my stage. Victoria walked in that day beaming, ready to present her version of events. She had no clue I had already met with every single board member individually. I let her start her presentation. She talked about unforeseen market shifts and aggressive competition to explain the lost contract. She painted a picture of herself as a valiant leader fighting against the odds. When she finished, a smug smile on her face, the room was silent. Then I stood up. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, I have a different perspective on our recent challenges. I calmly presented my evidence. The financial records showing misappropriated funds, the emails proving she leaked confidential data to a direct competitor, the timeline that perfectly aligned her business trips with our strategic losses. With every slide, the color drained from Victoria's face. The board members, already prepped by me, looked at her not with surprise, but with cold disappointment. Her lover Mark was also exposed as his company was implicated in corporate espionage. His victory was tainted, his reputation in tatters. The board voted unanimously. Victoria was to be removed from the company immediately, forced to sell her shares to me for a fraction of their worth due to a breach of fiduciary duty. She was escorted out of the building she helped build, past the employees who now looked at her with contempt. She lost her job, her reputation, and the wealth she had taken for granted. When I finally got home that night, the house was empty. She had taken her things and gone. A single letter was on the kitchen table. It wasn't an apology. It was a tirade, full of venom and disbelief. She called me cruel, vindictive. Oh, she wrote, I never knew you had this in you. That was the point. She never really knew me at all. She only saw what she wanted to see. Standing there, in the quiet of my reclaimed life, I didn't feel the triumph I expected. I just felt a profound sense of peace. My revenge wasn't about destroying her. It was about rebuilding me. It was about taking back my power, my self-respect, and my future. She thought I would stay broken, but instead, I built a new world from the rubble of the old one, a world where I was the sole architect. And in that world, I was finally free. Sometimes the most powerful comebacks are the ones no one sees coming. Thanks for watching my story. If you've ever had to rebuild your life from scratch, you know how hard it is. Hit that like button if you believe in the power of a quiet comeback, and subscribe for more stories about turning pain into power.
Nice.
See you next time.